Welcome to Tailgate Update number 43 with myself and also Julie Miller. And we might be joined by Caleb Horn a little bit later. We're going to start our four packs this week with basketball and talk about the big media news,
Oh,
which
that was me
was
shooting a hoop.
okay. Gotcha. That the NBA decided on who their media partners were going to be for the next decade or so, and they decided that TNT did not make the cut. TNT proposed a deal that they thought matched the Amazon Prime deal, and the NBA chose to go with Amazon on in preference to all their different streaming platforms. So, did you hear a little bit about that, Julie? And what were your thoughts on them changing up here after last decade?
Yeah, I think they thought that they picked their new person, but it sounds like it's not going well, so they may have to reconsider. But I know this topic makes your heart sing, so I want you to have all the time to share your opinions on it.
Well, I mean, matching a contract is like a very tricky business. Uh, but basically, what Warner Brothers and TNT did, they matched all the money portions of it. They matched the time portions of it and everything. But they weren't giving to the NBA nearly the streaming reach that Amazon
Mm-hmm.
Prime gives, which is basically second only to Netflix and how many homes that they reach, and of course internationally too. Warner Brothers has Max, which is in a couple of different countries, but it's a much smaller platform. And I believe they weren't promising to stream the games live either. They were going to be on TNT, which is tied with cable packages, as to where Amazon Prime, it would be everyone that had an Amazon Prime subscription would be able to watch, as opposed to if you're not subscribed to Comcast or Spectrum or whatever in whatever part of the country, that you wouldn't get the NBA. And the
Mm.
NBA, for the same amount of money, was wanting as much reach as they could, so they didn't feel that was a match.
Yeah, that's a terrible thing. I would be so angry because I haven't had cable since I was like 14. And if I couldn't watch my game live because you have some like archaic system, I would be very frustrated. So you're saying there's a lot. Well, I you did a great job of explaining that there is a difference, that they match most characteristics but not all. So what do
Right.
you think is going to be the outcome of this lawsuit?
I think that after it's all said and done, the matching usually goes to whoever is making the choice. They can usually make the choice on whether they matched or not, unless you can show that it was malicious or that it's so extreme.
Right.
Um, but I do think that TNT will be able to get some money from them in recompense to losing it, to giving losing out other opportunities, and also for them to give them some money back, maybe off the back end of the last deal, or
Mm,
maybe the NBA could promise them something on a smaller deal to make TNT drop the lawsuit, because the only thing more, the only thing more expensive than a room full of basketball players is a room full of high powered lawyers.
mm.
So the
Amen.
quicker they can get it over with, the better. And it just isn't a good look for like the NBA to look cheap.
Right. But, like, when you explain it the way that you did, it's very obvious why they would pick the one, and so I don't think TNT has a leg to stand on there. But you're right, like, the back end stuff, they're gonna have to clean up a little bit around those corners with how they're gonna, um, you know, seal the deal with TNT and Warner Brothers. You're probably gonna have to, like, give them a little something to smooth over, the hurt feelings, so
Right.
yeah, and it would probably be ideal for that to not be a cheap option, but it hasn't been long enough for that to really get for us to get that far, right? Like,
Oh, absolutely not. No, they've signed the deal. They made the decision, but it will take literally months before it even reaches the courtroom, and probably
Mm,
years before some news on the back page will trickle out about what the actual money part of it was. In the meantime, in the next months, we'll see Charles Barkley and all the rest of the gang try to put a package together for one of the new entries.
mm-hmm.
I've heard that both ESPN and ABC are looking at maybe talking to the TNT crew to bring them all together
Right.
as one, and that'll be something we can really look forward to in the next months, because those guys love to be in the spotlight.
Oh my gosh,
So.
don't they ever?
um, the other thing going on is the Olympics, and
Just that
I
little
know,
Olympics thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
but the only basketball part of the Olympics is the Olympic squad, and um, the news was made not just by sports journalists, but uh, Stephen Curry was talking about the fact that when the Dream Team went all the way, they only had to face 9 NBA players to win the gold
Mm,
medal, but that there are somewhat about 70 future, past and current NBA players that they'll have to play to win the gold medal,
right.
which was a tremendous amount.
Yeah, so what you're telling me is that they tried to match it and the although it looks the same, the details are different, much like the contract.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It looks it looks the same
Yeah. The
because
U.S. looks
it's
stronger. Yeah.
yeah, it's a dream team, they're going for the gold. Okay, but what that means in practicality is a whole lot different this
Yeah.
time. Yeah.
Team Canada was the one that I was looking at. They have 10 current NBA players,
Mm,
12 that were in the league, but 10 current. And there are people like uh, SGA, Shea Gilgis Alexander,
mhm.
uh, Dylan Brooks, noted provocateur. Okay. He used to play for the Memphis Grizzlies. So I know that he's just praying to get to guard King James again.
Mm,
Um, and Lou Dort, other name players, and so those would be tough today. Um, it's always perspective about how hard that they'll play, but I know today, after barely escaping during exhibition, you might taking a look in that Serbia played the U.S. today on Sunday, and the U.S. won by like double figures
oh wow.
after barely eking it out in
Yes.
exhibition, you know. And the main difference, I mean, Steve Kerr said it was time to step up and all that kind of stuff, but also he got a guy that was not playing, Kevin Durant.
Ah,
Yeah, that was the difference.
uh-huh.
He scored something like 21 points in 19 minutes.
Wow. Oh
I
my
know that they were down by 2 when he came in. And I think he scored 4 3-pointers in about 3 minutes of game time.
yeah, he cleaned up, okay? He was like,
Yeah,
enough
it
is
was
enough.
exceptional. Yeah,
They all got some of them good Paris, like, fresh croissants and stuff, so they had, like,
yeah,
that good bread to kick off with, and then they were like, enough." Like, he was, like, on the sideline, like, "Oh my god, let me in, let me in."
yeah, yeah. So
Awesome.
anyway, that was
More points than minutes is always nice.
yeah,
That's a record be like.
he finally missed a shot late in the fourth quarter.
Oh, man.
I know. I hate it when that happens. He should have left early with a clean sheet.
Mm.
But I think unless there's any other basketball, we're going to look at baseball for a little bit. Did you happen to see the highlights or check anything out about the opening round game? Team USA, they just finished like an hour or two ago. So,
Oh no, I had. I've been totally offline for pretty much all day.
oh, I understand. I
Yeah.
understand. But yeah, they finally got their act together, and they won by I think by 15 against
Okay.
Serbia.
There you
So
go.
yeah, they and Kevin Durant came back from his calf strain to score like 21. So
All
I
right. There you
know.
In
go.
18
And
Easy
minutes.
money.
yeah. So but anyway,
In
we're
18
going.
minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Oh
like
wow.
18, 20 minutes, something like that. He
That was
didn't play at
efficient.
all until 2 minutes left in the first quarter.
Good
So
for him.
Yeah.
that was really interesting. But we're circling back around to baseball. And
Mm.
there's been a couple of things going on with baseball. And I was wanting to ask you before we really got started on it, Caleb, uh, did you know of any rumors or hear anything about anything going on with the trade deadline?
Actually, Cubs just made a surprising addition.
Okay.
They traded away their third baseman slash DH Christopher Morel for
Oh.
to the Tampa Bay Rays for their third baseman Isaac Paredes, and I think included with that deal was two minor league arms from the Cubs. So Paredes last year slash 250, 350, and like 417, and had 31 bombs. So
yeah,
a nice little addition for the Cubs. A little extra power, a little somebody with a little higher ceiling or floor.
nice.
But the Phillies acquired Austin Hayes from the Baltimore Orioles outfielder.
Okay.
And gosh dang it, where did there's another one. I thought the Cardinals had missed out on somebody. I thought they were getting, but yeah, it's kind of slow rolling into the deadline here. About probably noon on Monday or Tuesday. What day is it? Yeah, Thursday. Sorry, or Wednesday. Yeah, Wednesday 31st. It'll by like 3 p.m. It closes. So.
Well, that's been more excitement than we've had most of the period, so that's already good. We got some movement.
So guys, the Yankees acquired Jazz Chisholm,
yes,
second baseman slash outfielder. So that kind of squashes potentially the Cody Bellinger movement, but also the Cubs adding now two pieces. Actually, Cubs acquired a relief pitcher yesterday too. Okay. So it looks like they're adding. So I don't know how much they'll actually be selling.
They're in buying mode then. You were talking about a month ago, maybe they were going to be in selling mode, but they've done enough.
Not much has changed, but I guess they looked at their $230 million payroll and like, hey, we just need to go for it. So like this trade that they made today is like a, nice player today, also could help you out in the next couple of years as well. He's got 3 years of control still.
Yeah.
So
I was looking at the Chisholm stuff, the Jazz Chisholm. Is that a lot to pay for like an actual roster player? I said it was mainly just prospects.
Yeah, so like in baseball, like you can't trade picks. So it's always prospects, current players on your 40-man or cash.
Yeah.
And I didn't exactly see what the Yankees had given up. I don't know how much I like that fit because the Yankees are such a buttoned up, like, Death Star looking type franchise. It's not very fun. You can't even, if you have a sliver of facial hair, you're not playing.
Yeah.
So Jazz is very much, like he likes to have fun. He's a big personality. He's probably more hype than he is, talent, but he's still a good player nonetheless. But I don't know. That was one I'm like, I feel like they felt like they missed out on somebody else, and that was their plan B. So and maybe it was Bellinger that they were really hoping to get, and the Cubs shut it down. Who knows?
Okay, that could be. Yeah, I mean, there wasn't really much I want. It's such a weird time in baseball right before the trade deadline. Like you said, it's like everything is really quiet, the quiet before the storm. I'm sure we can hit on a lot, maybe next week or a week and a half after. So, but anyway, I think we're going to go ahead and move on to the Olympics, since that seems to be where everyone's attention is kind of going. And not too much happening so far. They're just they're spacing things out, I think. They did have the Olympic ceremony. It was pretty good ratings, I think. It was the best ratings since 2012 in London and everything. But I wanted to ask y'all about your Olympic experience, the watching experience. Will you be more inclined to watch it as it being like kind of close to our time zone. I mean, it's about 7 or 8 hours out than other years where it's been like in Southeast Asia with Japan
Mm.
and things like that.
I just watch it when I go to my grandma's house and she's watching it.
Okay.
Yeah, I kind of just catch it as I catch it, I suppose. There's not too much appointment television. You know, my youngest daughter's she's gotten into gymnastics recently, so I was like, oh, we'll make sure we try and catch some of that for sure.
Yeah.
Even though it's like still a completely different sport than what she's doing currently, but the level is just way different. But watch some of that. I caught some rugby. Just happened to catch some rugby.
I saw some swimming, I think.
Day one. Yeah, some swimming had happened.
Yeah.
It's always tough with the time zone differentials, and sometimes I'm not always as interested in the Summer Olympics as I am the Winter Olympics either, though, to be honest. Winter's a lot more fun.
I think you're right. I think the ratings are a little bit better. Since it's Peacock, since it's NBC, they're putting on all the platforms so that you can watch it on TV or your cable network, on 6, 8, 10 hours delay, or you can set your alarm and stream it live, depending. So at least they're giving people choices. That part is at least good, because I'm not the type of person I can stay off the internet for 10 hours not to spoil myself for a sports event. It's going to happen. Someone I know will tell me.
Yeah.
It's impossible to avoid it.
Yeah. 10 years ago, maybe not. Nowadays, it's impossible. So, but anyway, the other thing was that this year, Larry Bird had a bunch of records. Okay, one of his records was he was the oldest basketball Olympian to win a gold medal. He was 35. This year on the USA men's basketball team, there's 3 different people that are at least that old. It's the usual suspects. It's Steph, and of course LeBron, and then KD also is older. KD's 36. So it's just very weird that all the sports heroes like Simone Biles coming back, and she's almost 30 as a gymnast, which is literally 10 years past peak for an Olympian.
Yeah, most of them are like teenagers in there.
Yeah,
like children.
Wasn't she 16 her first Olympics?
Absolutely, yeah.
Gosh, dude.
And so that's why I was wondering about do you think it's like maybe just the celebrity of it and the fact that they can make some win? Katie Ledecky is coming back, and she's around the age too. She's about 30 or so.
Are they still competitive?
People that really know. What?
Are they still competitive? Are they still on the top of their game?
She is. Katie Ledecky, I think she won a bronze. It's kind of like the last time Phelps came back. There was a couple he didn't win the gold in, but he was competitive in every race he was in.
Yeah.
But LeBron is. Yeah, why not? That's the thing. I mean, LeBron is literally on that team. He's the fourth best player there, which is stinking amazing.
Yeah.
He looks younger than Steph and KD, that's for sure.
He ages like fine wine. We know this. So,
yeah.
I mean, I feel like with the Olympics, because it's, whatever sport you're in, it's every 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of just pop up out of nowhere. All of a sudden, your household name. And you really don't know them until they ball out, essentially. So it feels like we're kind of at that cusp of losing all of our power and might, but someone's coming up, always does.
And if Simone Biles can do it at 30, like, is she doing well? I don't know.
She is doing she's doing okay. I didn't watch it. I'm going to watch it tonight. I caught a couple of glances of the scoreboard, because they're showing the later rounds during the day, but the USA is being shown tonight. So I've tried not to spoil myself, but I know they're doing good. But I've tried not to pay attention to exactly how they're doing, so that when I watch Simone Biles and all the rest of them tonight, I'll be kind of surprised not what's
I
going.
would
But
love
it's
if
just
we could have.
qualifications.
I would love if we could just have adults, because it's weird that we have a bunch of teenage little girls on the women's team, and then we have creepers like the man who shall not be named. And if we can like protect them so that like I know that they're in their prime when they're like 12, okay, but maybe there's a problem with that. And maybe they don't need to be preparing for the Olympics when they should be in school. So I don't really mind if we raise the bar to being an adult
Yeah,
before. So
that's
I know
true.
Yeah,
30 might be a stretch, but
Yeah,
it's just
but
hard. Like your body just can't take the. I mean, some of
and
them
it
like
shouldn't
them
take it when
landing.
you're still growing though.
yeah,
Like that's the thing,
But you're the
like
most flexible though. That's the thing. Like your body's a freaking rubber ball basically at that age.
yeah, but you're gonna
That's
have probably lifetime effects to having done it so young, and it'll affect your like growth and everything.
yeah,
that's football, wrestling. I mean, it's
Yeah.
you're if you're gonna be great at something, like your body is gonna take a physical toll to some extent,
Yeah.
you know. And I mean, I know it's different when you're talking about kids, but
yeah. I was going to say, if
if
you look at
they
the
have the
like
choice.
the gymnast on the women's side these days, as opposed to maybe 10 or 15 years ago, with the Soviets and the Chinese, their athletes would run so young. But if you
Yes.
look at the body types, even the still teenager ones look like a more normalish body type. I think maybe the nutrition is improved. Uh, Everything is improved to where they don't have to really uh, halfway destroy themselves to be a part of the sport. I believe
Yeah,
they've
and
been able to
also
get nutrition better.
some people are
Mm.
just. I mean, look at your peers in high school. Like there's just grown ass dudes walking around in your hallways, and then there's guys that look like they're still 8 years old. So
That is so true.
everybody progresses a lot differently.
Caleb, I
And
thought you were going to go a whole show without making fun of me.
you know, I couldn't help myself.
Yes, I
Jay.
looked like an 8-year old when I was in high school, but that's okay. I grew out of
Hey, I did too. It's okay. I still look like I'm about 18.
Yeah, I
Maybe.
was
It
about to
turns into a
say.
blessing, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, baby face.
anyway, I'm just going to move on from the Olympics because there's a couple of controversies, but nothing major yet. There's been no doping, no.
We've covered a few of the things
Oh,
in the true crime, like the I know the Chinese swimmer doping scandal was a big deal. I know they've tested them like a lot, nothing's come up, but
Mhm.
I know there's controversy right now happening between the doping agency, like the international one and the American
Uh-huh.
one, because I think the international one is trying to kind of say, America, can you chill out a little bit? Because they were over investigating, is what I believe was happening. So I
Okay.
know like some of the back end stuff on that is
is that
still
USADA?
big. It was like 12 or 13 of the swimmers had previously tested positive, but a lot of them were like trace amounts from like 2012 or something. I'm like pretty confused by why that. It was
Wait,
all
tests go back that far?
yeah, like
Holy shit.
it was a long time ago.
Wow.
And I
The
was like,
Canadian soccer coach, the women's Canadian soccer coach,
yes,
she got
the
the boot,
droning.
and they got docked 6 points, I guess, in the standings. So that's not
Yeah,
good.
and then I
But
know
also, how
there's
many teams are doing that? Oh,
hopefully not many.
you just were dumb enough to get caught. I don't know. It's hard to imagine. Like we're using freaking drones in wars now, so it's hard to imagine everybody's not using it for some sort of edge.
Yeah, maybe they have a drone to watch the drones.
Ah, there you go.
A drone follower. And then I know there was that volleyball player, who the Dutch one, who is a registered SO, who they allowed to in the UK that they allowed to compete in the Olympics anyways, which upset a lot of people. Obviously
Okay.
America is the most vocal again. but he's not allowed to stay in the village or something, the Olympic village where most of the athletes are, or he's choosing not to or something. And he's also been warned to not speak with the media or anything like that. But I know that that upset a lot of people, especially when we do have like gymnasts who are like 13. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
so considering he's still on the registry and everything, it is I think he got out in 2017. He got out early. He was supposed to get out in 2020, but still having the record and everything, like people are like, I guess they were surprised that somebody who did something like that would be allowed in the Olympics at all, and then
Yeah.
like
Kind of
concerns about
shocking.
safety. Yeah, so
Oh,
there's a
that's
lot of
scary.
controversy about that guy. Yeah, I don't know if it's well, yeah, scary is a word. I think he probably will be on his best behavior because everybody's watching him, but um it calls into question like the type of athletes that we're letting in because I think there's generally like a code of ethics that we try to have
Is
most people
yeah,
follow. Like
generally.
not being on the registry is a pretty easy one.
That
That's
makes sense.
Yeah,
pretty baseline. Yeah.
yeah, so that's some people are very upset. I mean, I totally understand. I wouldn't want my nephew, for example, to be like somehow, in the same spot in an uncontrolled environment. So I totally understand
Yeah.
that fear. I think the real is I think there's probably more people that they should be concerned about at the Olympics. There's probably people all over that they should be concerned about for that same reason. But yeah, this is more on principle, I think.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah. Not a good move.
As we come off of the Olympics to go to, I'm really starting to get excited about football. So the big contracts started to roll in this week,
Mm-hmm.
and man, people are not impressed.
No,
That is true. I'm not.
no, not much to be impressed by.
I mean, what did y'all think about Tua and Jordan Love?
Tua got like 8 seconds of glory. I feel bad for that guy. He's always being overlooked or overshadowed by like
I
everyone.
know, but neither one of them has taken their teams to a conference championship or anything yet, you know?
No, I mean, Tua's been doing it longer, so his makes sense. Jordan Love has played one season. Like that's
And they gave him
that's
a
crazy.
concussion that'll probably change his life forever. So they might as well give him a little coin.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, you broke his brain. You might as well pay the man.
yeah.
But yeah, the Jordan Love one, man. I don't know. I mean, I'm a scarred Bears fan, so he's probably another 15 years of just doom and gloom for Bears, but that just sounds stupid. Like 55 million a year guaranteed or not guaranteed, but the highest paid quarterback in the league is Jordan Love. Like,
Hmm.
Yeah,
can we be serious
yeah,
for a minute?
yeah. It's
But you look at
crazy.
that list of quarterbacks that are like top 10. I think there's like maybe 2 Super Bowl appearances amongst all of them.
Mm.
Yeah.
And
Well,
then
the thing is
just take
that
the Tom Brady approach. What all these guys getting paid all this money? Like what how is that helping your team by
yeah,
hamstringing them and making them now we gotta like penny pinch for the rest of the roster?
yeah. Yeah, I was looking at that because I was thinking, did they used to pay so much, such a big percentage? I was looking back at the salary cap in 2014 was like up maybe 55% as much as it is now. It was like about 133. And now it's like about 200 and anyway, there was 55%. The
That's
top paid quarterbacks in the league were Peyton, they were Brady. Um, you go down to 7 or 8, it was Colin Kaepernick. Okay. And I did the percentages from that of the salary cap. Those guys were getting paid about 16 to 17% of the total salary. Now they are getting paid about 21% because the new salary cap's 255.
Oh my God, I love
And
all these numbers.
the
yeah, our
salary cap
research
is
team, do we have a
255.
paid position in the research team now?
No, we just had a really zealous volunteer this
Because
week.
this is wow, this is awesome.
Yeah.
But you look at it, 55 million for Jordan Love, plus it pretty much matches what Joe Burrows is. Okay. and then you drop down a little bit to Josh Allen. Uh, Way down in sixth or seventh place now is Mahomes. But the fact is, he took the long term money.
Mm-hmm.
It's the biggest contract in sports history, because it was almost half. It
Half a
was
bill almost.
455 million because it was 10 years. All
People
these
thought
guys'
that was
contract is
ridiculous.
5 years. Yeah.
Me being one of them. Now I'm looking at it, I'm
Yeah.
like, look at Patty Mahomes being the, good guy, taking a pay cut. What a guy. He's only making 45 million this year
Only
as
40.
opposed to 55.
But look how quick he dropped. I mean, it was an absurd number,
Yeah.
45 million just a year
Isn't
and a
he
half
almost
ago.
30? I heard that and I was shocked. Because
I mean,
they were
he's
talking
been
about his baby, and they're saying he wanted to have him young, and then he was around. I was like, my God, he's only got another like 10 years. I
since
don't know.
18. Is that when he first started? Like starting?
I think so.
I think it was 20. Didn't he stay 2 years at Texas Tech?
No, he lost the 19 Super Bowl.
Oh, you mean the year 18, not
He
the
got
age.
drafted in 2017, and I think didn't he sit back 1 year?
Yeah, he sat a year behind Alex Smith.
Yes. So
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, he's 28.
It's already been
Still,
6
I'm
years.
like,
It is
I don't.
nuts though.
But that's
Yeah, like
7.5 years on the contract left. 8 years.
if we were back like 30 years, he would already be near his prime, being completely over his career. He probably would have blown a knee and not had the right surgery for it.
That's true. That's true. But anyway, yeah, the quarterbacks, Tua and Jordan. I mean, Jordan Love, it's the shortness of everything, but with Tua, it's the undependability of his being on the field. That's the problem with like that much money, I think, because it's not just here, but it was 2 years at Bama as well that he was very hurt. So he's had a lot of concussions, had a lot of twists and sprains and
Ugh.
hurts. And, I mean, he came out of college. The main question was his durability. And he really hasn't answered any of those questions. He's been very good when he's been on the field.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he is very good when he's on the field. I mean, I definitely, when he's on the field, he's worth the money, I think.
Yeah.
But is he going to slip coming out of the tunnel and hit his head? And now he's out for a month? Because with him, like, you're genuinely concerned about his brain health, if for a lack of a better term, I guess.
I've been concerned for a while. Like he's gonna by
that couple
40
week stretch was rough.
Yeah.
By 40, he's gonna be sipping through a straw, and he won't even be able to say his own last name already. So,
but the good thing is, it's 4-year deals for very young players. So, I mean, the thing is, Josh Allen's will take him probably into his 30s. His contract, and Mahomes into his late 30s. And Lamar Jackson, same thing. He'll be into well into his 30s when his 5-year deal runs out.
What's going on with Lamar? What's this sickness I keep seeing?
3 days, they said, right? He missed.
Right? Oh, was it only 3 days?
I think he came back after 3 days.
Oh, okay. I thought it was like a couple week thing. I was like, oh boy, hopefully nothing's like wrong. That makes me feel better though.
Yeah. We'll switch gears a little bit to I mean, training camp is finally starting.
Yeah, he came back yesterday.
Yesterday? Okay.
They said he was seeing doctors and taking tests for illnesses. He missed 4 of the Ravens' 5 practices so far. Further evaluation and receiving care from the medical team. He's fighting through an illness, working with our doctors. He's doing all the tests, even more tests, to make sure we get everything covered. That sounds more serious than a cold, but he is back. So, yeah. Ooh.
That's weird.
Guess we'll have to follow that.
Yeah. Well, with training camp starting, the main name holdout is CeeDee Lamb with the Cowboys. But as I understand, Aaron Rodgers is at camp, but he's not practicing. He's present. Is that
would make sense because he is the coach.
As I understand it, I thought he threw yesterday.
Okay. I must have missed. I didn't check yesterday. I knew that he was out of the country for a while, but um,
Yeah, because he was arguing on the sideline with Garrett Wilson yesterday
okay,
about something, and I mean he was in cleats, and I don't think he's like fully padded, but I don't know if everybody did a fully padded practice like the Bears did the past couple days.
Oh, yep, there he is in his little
okay.
uniform from yesterday. Yep. He's definitely not fully padded at all, but he is throwing and running.
Okay. Well, that's good. I mean, last year was such a disaster for the Jets. At least that if he comes in and makes a good start. CD Lamb, I mean, with Jerry Jones and the contract situations that he's involved with, I mean, is there any hope or, I mean, does anyone know what's going on there?
Jerry Jones is busy with all these lawsuits, okay? Because he had to do the NFL Sunday Ticket one, which they lost, which was a pretty big deal.
That's true.
Um, and then he also is countersuing his secret daughter, allegedly, for because apparently before, and he said this, so
Hmm.
before she was even 2 years old, he had already made a contract with her mom about like all of the things that he would give them
Okay.
if they didn't come forward. Um and
Okay.
so like I think they're countersuing her because it would be a violation of the agreement that they've already made.
Okay. So he said there's a non-disclosure agreement and you broke this. And so I don't want to give you all the things that I was going to promise you because that was part of the deal.
But I think
Right.
she's old enough that a lot of the things that he promised her would have already happened anyway, which
Hmm.
is why she may have decided to do it now. But yeah, I believe he's countersuing his like secret daughter allegedly, which is like kind of I think we need Maury or something for this. But
Yeah.
yeah, so Jerry Springer because I don't know how to handle all of that. But the point is like he's heavily involved in every lawsuit ever, including ones that he's starting himself. So
Yeah.
yes, allegedly.
Yeah. I mean, with all that's going on, the CD Lamb hold out because of money, and then the Dak Prescott that everyone thought would be the first deal to be made, not
Mm.
Jordan Love or not Tua,
Well, I think
but
that probably that off-season little incident probably had something to do with delays, right?
with Dak,
Yeah,
okay.
that's
I
pretty
mean,
serious. You might want to take a pause and figure out what happened before you
okay.
like march forward with that, right?
No, that's okay. I'll read about it. So, but you're thinking there could be some
They might have
publicity
had some
reasons.
they might have had some character concerns.
Oh, that makes sense. That they're
Yeah.
holding out for a little bit to maybe
Well,
check out
let's.
some things.
Are they actually having character concerns, or are they just going to cite those as a reason to shortchange him?
Right.
There's a difference.
But if it happens once, and okay, first off, if something did happen allegedly, patterns happen, behavior happens in patterns. So
Hmm.
it's a more likely chance that this could happen again. Um, Also, we have like publicity hounds who will prey on a person who's been alleged to have done that before. So they're still going to have to
Mhm.
deal with it.
Yeah.
Probably. Somebody will probably. So
Okay.
I think like um I can see why there would be like actual concern about that, but
Okay.
I don't know. I'm not saying that that's explaining this huge long delay, but I think it might explain why it didn't happen like first or it
Okay.
took a little longer, but I don't know that. But I think once something like this kind of happens, it I think the team would be a little more like,
Okay.
you're a
That
It's
liability
not
to
going to
some
help
okay.
extent.
speed things along. That's for
Okay.
sure.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. Caleb, in a week or two, we'll talk about uh, we'll talk about Hard Knocks because I know you're probably really
Mm-hmm.
excited about it this year.
Oh yeah.
But we're going to talk a little bit about college football uh, because it's a lot of weird things happening this year with the realignment. And I
You
mean, Do you feel the same, Caleb, watching football, and Julie, when Texas is in the SEC and Stanford's in the ACC?
Oh yeah, all that college football I stay so on top of.
And Texas and SEC isn't as weird, especially because they came with Oklahoma. Stanford to ACC just doesn't even make any sense. There's not anything less Atlantic Coast than Stanford. And the Big Ten bringing in UCLA, Oregon, USC, and Washington, and now there's no more divisions in the Big Ten, which is unfortunate for a guy like me who's a big Illinois fan, because winning the Big Ten West was about our only hope of ever seeing a Big Ten championship game. Yeah. Now we got like 7 monsters in front of us, so we're just. I mean, I hope I'm wrong, but it just doesn't feel like we're ever going to get to that point. So it kind of stinks in that regard. It's exciting to another point, but it definitely is not the college football of my childhood. But then again, ever since the Big East was dissolved, that's kind of been a thing.
Yeah.
So
I understand.
Bummer. Kind of roll with the times, I suppose, but it does kind of suck. It also sucks watching the Pac-12 just kind of like let themselves disappear. Very, very disappointing.
That's true.
But a lot of history in that conference,
Yeah, that's true. Moving on towards the Olympics, back towards the Olympics, but mainly to the fighting sports.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And Julie had something about Manny Pacquiao.
Oh, okay, fine. I'll go with that one first. Because I was gonna talk UFC, but we'll go on there first. Okay, so Senator Pacquiao, he chose not to enter the 2016 Olympics because he was elected as a senator in his home country, the Philippines. Mm-hmm. So, I thought that was interesting. Because you can do I don't know. I think you could probably be a lot older as a politician than you could be as an Olympic athlete, but I also understand wanting to grab the opportunity while you have it. So he is 45 and the rule is 40. And so I tried to figure out where the International Olympics, the International Olympics, what's it called? Committee moved it from 34 to 40 in 2013, but it's unclear how they made the age rules, because it was 34 in 2013 and then they moved it up to 40, but as to how they choose it is sort of unclear. And then there's such a thing as like a universality entry to the Olympics, where if your country like isn't doing that well, if you don't have that many viable athletes, that you can get somebody in who normally wouldn't be allowed, as sort of like a waiver system. And lack of eligible athletes and struggle to qualify on merit. And so they were hoping to get that for Pacquiao. That was sort of on the roster for a while to see if they could get him in that way, but apparently the Philippines is doing too well for that, so that also won't work. But that was sort of on the roster there for a bit. But so he's saying he might make his breakout with like smaller things than the Olympics in the upcoming time. Like I think he still plans on wanting to get out there and fight somebody, but it's looking like it's not going to be with the Olympics. So we learned a lot of new things about the process of how the Olympics brings in people and doesn't.
I didn't know any of that. That's wild.
Yeah.
Why would there be an age limit? I mean, if you can do it, you can do it, right?
I'm not.
Of course, I don't know. And not everything's like track where you.
It's just for boxing, though, right?
I think there is generally age limits, but I think it would depend on the sport.
Because track, you have to like win your way into the Olympics. So there's really no refuting if you can run or not. I don't know how the boxing works in terms of how you get selected.
Yeah, it's kind of odd. And then before it was 34, 10 years ago. how they went from 34 to 40, what their decision making is. I tried to look into it. I couldn't, but I mean, it was quite a bit younger before, so I'm sure they have a reasoning, but they're not sharing, or at least I didn't find it.
40 for boxing is probably good, I guess. I mean, you don't need a grandpa essentially getting his brains beat in
Yeah, the
more than it
Olympics
already
has to
has.
make rules somewhere, and I think generally
Yeah.
most organizations prefer less than more because it's hard to enforce things. So, like, I think they probably have like a legit reason for that, but
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
Um, I'm sorry, Jude. Now, let me have you go back to what you were
No,
starting
no,
on.
no, because the next topic is Olympics too, so we will end with the UFC.
Okay, yeah, for the Olympics, uh, like I watched some wrestling. I'm from the South. It's it's in the Constitution down here, or state Constitution. So I watched some wrestling, and I watched some boxing. Uh, and the Olympics version of boxing and wrestling and even judo, kung fu, um, taekwondo, it's all different. Uh, what are some of the differences between the way that the Olympics system is done and scored than the commercial ones we see on TV?
Yeah, so I looked into this essay, and since there were so many different directions that I could have gone, I thought the first thing that popped up is last year there was a lot of talk about why the MMA isn't allowed in the Olympics. And
Hmm.
so that really kind of got me interested because there's been an argument to get it in the Olympics. And I was like, well, why do they allow certain kinds of fighting to happen, recreationally and not in the Olympics? Um, they say that MMA is too new, and that the International Olympic Committee isn't even considering it at this time. So they have like, I don't know what new means, but it does seem like they take a really long time to adapt to
Been,
new rules.
been around for almost 40 years.
That's pretty new for the Olympics.
I mean, I
That's been
guess in the
around
grand
since
scheme
the
of things,
2000s BC.
I suppose, but
Yeah, so
You
that I thought that
yeah,
was really interesting. That's a quote of mine. I didn't come up with the words. It is considered too new, and that they had just brought in things like judo in very recent years, and that's because that
from the
was
'60s, right?
new. Yeah, you're right. 1967, I believe. I'm trying to think. It
Okay.
was some other kind of wrestling. They let three different categories in the last couple of years that I was like, I thought those had been around a really long time, but it was a big deal when they let them in. So,
Okay.
um, I guess it takes them about 1,000 years to get something in there.
Hmm.
And I thought it was interesting. Somebody made the argument that the MMA fighting style is not particularly different from the Greek version called pankration, Pankration, that
Hmm.
has been in the Olympics as far back as 200 BC. So
Wow.
they're making an argument that it's very much not new. um, so what I was able to ascertain, because there's like a lot of nuance with different kinds of fighting,
Hmm.
that styles that the match length, objectives, uniforms, and penalties are unique to the Olympics. And different countries operate under different rules. So the IOC has to standardize things. So that's
Okay.
why it looks different to us because they're not just looking at it from like a US perspective or like a
Hmm.
European perspective, or a Asian perspective, all these different things. They have to make their own rules. And so that's why it can tend to look different because it's more of a global approach to the sport. And like it's very much standardized. And so that's for to fit like everyone. And so that's kind of why it looks different than how we may do things like locally, as in like the nation. Um,
Okay.
why it would look a bit different because one, they have to be really stringent with the rules, but they also have to be fair and more of a global approach.
Wow. Okay. Well, that makes a lot more sense. The UFC this weekend. Did anything
Mm.
happen? Anything going on with the UFC?
Yeah, so there was a lot of the snake squeezes, the struggle snuggles where you're not breathing. That seems to be sort of a theme. And so I have a couple really lovely uh videos that was from the highlights from the show that were like some of the biggest ones. Okay. So we got one here. We've got I should have figured out how to say their names. Specaucus and Procneo. All right.
Silver Kruger on the track.
And so that was one. That was kind of a big deal. See the tapping and the struggling to breathe. And here was another one, and these were both like main card events, so it's kind of surprising it happened so much. But Crosby and Patterson, the welterweight. Yep, so we had a lot of a lack of breathing this week. Yeah, so that's sort of, I was looking for themes and big stories and highlights, and that was a big one, was the inability to breathe. And people tapping out, because that doesn't often, that happens, but it's probably like less than it did yesterday, so. But we got a chance to see some big names lose their breath. Okay.
So I think we covered everything that we were trying to cover on the show today. Caleb, did you have anything to add before we go? Any, how about your Twitter handle or something at least?
Yeah, got at the Cap 11. Man, bear down, baby. Next week's the Hall of Fame game. Hopefully, see some Caleb Williams in action, even if he's just going off 8 times in a row, whatever it is. But we gotta wet the beak a little bit, So, and the Bears do play 4 preseason games this year. So I thought it was you play the Hall of Fame game, then you get the next week off, and then you play the final 2 preseason games. You still only play the 3 or the 4, what it used to be. But I guess you play an extra playoff or preseason game. So
yeah, wow,
Nice.
So yeah, he probably won't play much this week.
So
Especially the Bears play the Texans week too. So
yeah. So anyway, I'm at Ajax Mem on Twitter, trying to get my own little gang together. So if you're watching this, help me gang up. And that's about it for me. And Julie, you got the final word?
Yeah, it's Miller time. I don't beef with people like these 2 guys, so if you're looking to fight, probably not with me, but these 2 guys will give you a good argument if you want one. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that you always know when we have something new. And and comment, what are your thoughts? Is there something you want to see? Did you want me to show that guy who got punched out? Just let me know. So,
yes.
all right.
That's good.